Today I will be talking about creativity and its importance for entrepreneurship. I'm Saideepa Kumar, Research Fellow at the Tasmanian Institute of Agriculture at the University of Tasmania. I've prepared these lectures with material supplied by Dr. Greg Clydesdale, who's Senior Lecturer at Lincoln University, New Zealand, and Dr. David Monkton, who's Lecturer Agribusiness here at University of Tasmania. In the previous section, we stated that you didn't necessarily have to come up with anything new to start a business. You could imitate other people's businesses. However, creativity can be an important source of competitive advantage and can occur at a number of levels in business. Creativity can be required to create an opportunity in the market where it previously didn't exist. You may need to create a business model, create the business itself, and of course, each year, you will create a business plan and strategy. So, what is creativity and how does it happen? Many people believe that ideas just pop into their heads, or that creative people are somehow innately, specially gifted. But the truth is quite different. The Nobel Prize winner, Herbert Simon, who spent several decades studying creative processes, says that creativity is in fact a normal activity of information processing. It occurs with the build-up of information over time. Creativity also builds on the creativity of others. The most creative people spend a lot of time learning and thinking. They are in fact experts and workaholics. For example, Henry Ford would not have been able to create a car and capture the growing market if he had not possessed engineering knowledge. Similarly, Mozart could not have written such great music if he did not have the necessary training in music beforehand. Thus, creativity is really dependent on knowledge and expertise or problem-solving abilities. In the arts, researchers in creativity talk about the 20,000 hour or 10-year rule. That is, people need 10 years of experience in any activity before they become truly creative. You may say that Mozart started to compose music at the tender age of 4 or 5. But Simon would argue that only Mozart's compositions after the age of 17 could be considered to be world-class. Graham Wallas, who was one of the founders of the London School of Economics, defined the creative process as consisting of 4 stages. The first, preparation or the investigation of a problem in all directions. This is a fully conscious activity. It includes part research and part planning. The second stage is incubation, which is identified as an unconscious activity. During incubation, no direct effort is expended on the problem. All the processing is subconscious. The poet T.S. Eliot also identified the incubation stage as a critical element of creativity in poetry. The third stage is illumination or the aha moment, or a flash of insight, which cannot be forced, but which occurs as the culmination of a train of associations over time, some of which may be successful while others not. Often, the aha moment comes when we are really relaxed and the head is cleared of other information. It is then easier for us to make that connection. And finally, the fourth stage is verification. Of course, it is not sufficient to just have an idea. We need to check that the idea works, which is the final stage of the creative process. Wallas suggests that the unconscious stages of incubation and inspiration must be followed by a period of conscious work in which the results of the idea are tested and possible consequences are considered. In practice, these stages may overlap, and at any one time the mind may be processing many ideas. People see the creative idea and think that creativity comes from nowhere, but they don't realize the processes that went on before the idea came. Herbert Simon said, "Being an expert is not just important in creating things, it is also important for discovering things, including business opportunities." Experts in a domain of knowledge have the ability to quickly identify patterns, scan for shifts in patterns, and identify solutions in a highly effective manner. Take, for example, in a game of chess, players are faced with a large number of options for their next move. Chess players could not possibly examine all the possible options. But stronger players are able to examine the most relevant options, and they do not waste time in considering the irrelevant ones. In the world of business, if you understand how a market normally operates, it's much easier to identify a shift in demand, the opening of a niche, and other unique situations that have commercial implications. The idea that expertise is necessary for creativity and discovery is supported by business research. Two separate studies done in 1972 found that approximately 85% of the new firms started with products or services that drew on the founders' previous technical experience. Over 90% of the founders of new companies had previously worked in the same industry. A common process, and one that you might consider, is where someone works for an employer and then leaves to form their own company. Their time working for someone else enables them to build up knowledge of the industry and helps them to identify when new opportunities emerge. It also means they're more likely to have the relevant skills to exploit that opportunity. This happened at Silicon Valley, where William Shockley, one of the inventors of the transistor, left Bell Laboratories to form a new company, Shockley Semiconductor Laboratory, to develop semiconductors. The company he started provided experience in the technology to many other people, 8 of whom left and went on to start their own company, Fairchild Semiconductor. Shockley famously named them the Traitorous Eight and said that they would never be successful. However, they later left Fairchild Semiconductor to form their own companies such as Intel, AMD, and many other famous names. And this process of spin-offs continues to this day. 92 companies worth more than $2.1 trillion can now be traced back to Fairchild Semiconductor, and thus Silicon Valley was born. In this lecture, we've examined some of the elements of creativity. We identified that knowledge and expertise are essential for creativity. However, knowledge and expertise are no guarantors for creativity. Sometimes old knowledge and practices can constrain creative thinking. In the next lecture, we will explore how novel ideas emerge from old ideas. Thank you.